The movie Wire. The movie Wire. The movie Wire. The movie Wire.
Hello. Welcome to the Movie Wire. This is JT, and I hope that life is treating you well. I just want to take a quick moment to remind you to take some time out to smell the roses. Don't take things too seriously. It's going to be all right. Make sure that you stop and just observe and, don't take for granted the people who care about you. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, but hold on tight and just make sure that you're focused on what you're supposed to do, stay in your lane. Don't let no one discourage you or distract you. And just always stay encouraged. Stay encouraged. Look out for family, look out for friends, and just move forward in life. Move forward in the things that God has given you, the gifts that He's given you, and make sure that you stay strong and stay focused. With that being said, I hope that life is treating you well right now. And I'm excited once again to join you as my listeners for another awesome review because I sincerely love what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a while, and whether I'm podcasting to nobody or to 20 million people, I'm going to be consistent because I love what I do. And loving what you do simply will reward you. And reviewing movies, reviewing shows, and giving you my points of view is something that I sincerely enjoy and am sincerely passionate about. So with that being said, once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment The Movie Wire on our various platforms of social media and podcasts. We simply are under the handle of The Movie Wire across the board. And we have a lot to cover today. Check out our major platforms of streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. With that being said, we have a lot to talk about right now. A lot of stuff is popping. Right, the big thing that's coming up right now is the Batman within a few weeks in March. I love Batman no matter what incarnation, so I'm going to be looking forward to watching it. It looks like a dark, gritty, more in-your-face Batman. Looking forward to Zoe doing her thing as Catwoman. And I'm just excited, to see. It looks like that we're getting back into movies being in the theaters. Well, it never really stopped, but just being on a regular basis now. People are being more comfortable being out in the movies, and mask mandates are being lowered. But let me tell you something, people. Please stay safe. Wear your mask. I'm not trying to be political, but be safe. I'm just saying be safe. If you're not comfortable with watching movies yet in the theaters, it's okay. Stay home and wait for the streaming version to come out. Just be safe. If you don't feel safe going to the movies, that's fine. Stay home and stream. Stay home and stream and do your thing in the luxury and the comfort of your own home. So, not only is the new Batman coming out, but we just finished Boba Fett season 1. I wasn't as interested in Boba Fett. I'm more interested in Mandalorian. So, I'm watching Boba Fett because of Mandalorian. Mandalorian season 3 will probably be out sometime in the fall. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. I love Mandalorian. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I am catching up on some things in the Star Wars universe, starting with Mandalorian. On Netflix, Raising Dion season 2. I'll be covering that real soon. That's been a good show, Raising Dion. I saw season 1. It's really cool. And I'm actually catching up on the Power series. Power Book 4 just started. Looks like it's going to be good. I'll be covering that pretty soon. But right now, I'm catching up on Ghost, and I'm a late Power person. I'm going to be honest. I'm a late Power person, and I've started watching Power Book 2, and I mean it's already one of my favorite shows. And yes, I'm very late. I'm very late with Power, but right now it's quickly becoming one of my favorite shows. So once I'm caught up on Power, I'll definitely be adding it to my review list. A lot of good stuff on HBO Max as well. I'm catching up on as well on Euphoria. Things are blowing up on Euphoria really well. The Peacemaker, that's been a good season. I'll be catching up on that as well. Let's talk for a minute about the Oscar nominations, particularly Will Smith. I believe that it's his time. It's King Will's time to get his Oscar for King Richard. He did that thing in the Venus Williams and Serena Williams movie. He did his thing as Richard, as the father of the tennis legends, and it's the writing's on the wall. It's his time to get his Oscar. I haven't seen a lot of other nominated categories, or a lot of other nominated movies that are, I haven't even seen Macbeth, the Denzel movie, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not really heavy on the Oscar nominations, although I do love to see who made the cut. And, of course there's snubs. We know we know that the Oscars is not going to be nominating The Harder They Fall for anything. That's just not a movie that's in their repertoire. So it's not a surprise, but that movie definitely deserved a couple of nods. Hats off to Coming to America Part 2 for getting a nomination for makeup. It's just a little, hey, it is what it is. It got nominated for an Oscar. So as of now, Coming to America is an Oscar nominated film. So it is what it is. And like I said, it's time for Will to get his Oscar. He's been in this game for a long time. He's definitely, he ain't the best actor in the world, but he definitely came through with that role in King Richard. So he's going to get his Oscar. It's his time. Like I said, I haven't seen, any of the other movies that have been nominated for, and I'm not, like I said, the Oscars is of course very political driven, and sometimes it's diverse and sometimes it's not. This year it's not diverse, once again, but it's the Oscars. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, sometimes we'll get the diversity and sometimes we won't. It is what it is. So, we've had a lot of diversity in the last few years. Had a lot of good, people, Regina King, we've had a lot of good movies that, very diverse movies that have gotten recognized in the past year or two. So with that being said, let's talk about, speaking of Will Smith, let's talk about Bel-Air, the TV show, the streaming show that just came out on Peacock. And I just saw it. I just saw the first episode just now. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. Let me just start off saying I grew up with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I literally grew up with that show. I was 10 years old when that show first came out, and it's definitely a classic at this point, and it deserved a reboot. We knew what to expect from the reboot. We saw the trailers. We saw that it was going to definitely have a different spin, a darker spin on a lot of things, and a lot of things to take from this show, from this first episode. I mean, my goodness. First of all, shout out to Jabari Banks for playing Will. Let's see who else was in the movie right here. A lot of good actors, a lot of good people in this role. Some definitely plenty of Easter eggs here and there. Cassandra Freeman as Vivian Banks. She definitely captured the spirit of Vivian Banks. I enjoyed that. let's see what we have here. Adrian Holmes as Philip Banks did an awesome job, and like I said, I'm looking forward to just the meet, and I'm looking forward to this show. And Orly Sholtan as Carlton Banks. And like I said, I don't have Peacock, and I don't plan to get it. But if you ever have a reason to get Peacock, then The Fresh Prince or Bel-Air would be a reason to get Peacock, to subscribe to it. Personally, like I said, I don't have Peacock, but this series really is trying to pull subscribers in, and you can watch the episode for free, so anybody can watch it. So it's up to you if you want to continue with Peacock to watch Bel-Air. I think it's worth it. The show is a weekly, it's going to be out weekly, so you have to subscribe for a while to enjoy the entire show, or just watch it towards the end, or just wait until it's over to watch the whole series. But I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed it pulled a lot of elements from the original sitcom, and like I said, I grew up with the show, so I can definitely tell when it's doing a throwback to the original show. And I'm not one of those people who try to compare everything to the original show and try to make it seem like it's not going to be as good. I give this show a chance. Bel-Air was really, like I said, it really pulled a lot of elements, and it really gave us a raw, gritty feel of Will's background and why he actually moved to Bel-Air. And I mean, Jabari definitely gives Will Smith vibes. The actor Will Smith, he definitely could be like a son of his. And I'll be honest, at first Will Smith's character is not very likable to me. Getting into a fight and punching somebody and pulling a gun on somebody, it is not very smart. Even when you're, it's just my opinion. It's just my thing. I just didn't feel like, I was kind of thinking that maybe that his friend did something and he was framed or something to get into trouble, and he wasn't really trying to start trouble, but he actually did start trouble. And mind you, but like I said, we all want to, of course, this is his show, so we all know that Will is a good-natured, and at the end of the day, he's a good-natured person, and he's from a rough background. He's a basketball player, aspiring to play in college, but he gets into a scuffle, and actually his life is threatened by a gang leader. So we want to, like this the whole setup with him moving was a whole different element that we didn't really get in the original sitcom, but I appreciate how they really fleshed out the whole situation with him moving, and the whole frustration with his, just adapting to his new family and his new living arrangements was really magnified. A lot of things that were joked about in the sitcom were magnified as serious elements, especially with Uncle Phil's campaign. With Carlton, the whole thing with Carlton is just messed up. It's crazy. And mind you, I'm going to put a few spoilers here, so just be careful. Just be mindful. I'm going to put in a few spoilers. You already knew that Carlton was going to be a conflict, just because we knew that him and Will had a lot of conflicts in the original show, but it's really turned into almost into like a villain. Carlton is becoming like a villain in this show, and the sharp contrast between him and Will, it's going to be a problem, and it's not going to be, they're not going to be cool. Just by the way Will comes in, and Carlton comes off as just saying, I know you're not here for education, and the whole part. There's a really deep element where Carlton is in the locker room with his Caucasian friends, and they're singing the N-word, and Will comes in and says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And the fact that Carlton accepts this. Now, this is something that is definitely, like I said, there are a lot of new elements to this show that make it original. The concept is, of course, not original, but the elements really delve into the whole culture of how, affluent black people can try to be accepting to their white counterparts by just accepting their white counterparts to to mimic us or to say things about us, and we have to play the game. Some of us want to play the game and play the ignorance card in order to be accepted, and Carlton really plays that role to a certain degree. We don't know much about Philip. Philip really is a strong character. He comes off, he's political. He's running for, I believe, a district attorney, and he's a very tough. I always love seeing a strong black male character, a father and a husband, in any kind of show. So, like I said, Adrian Holmes really did his part in playing Philip Banks, and spoiler alert, when he had that talk with Will, the same talk that the OG Philip Banks had with Will, with James Avery, that original conversation saying, look, this is your life now. I want you to do better. I want you to have a better future. I pulled some strings to get you out of jail, but, this is what you need to do here. And, just like in the original show, Jabari really plays Will Smith, just the cockiness and the arrogance. But at the same time, he can read people very well. He reads the room well. We know that he's going to probably end up, taking over with the school, and we know that he's going to, he's a people person. So we know that Will Smith has street smarts, but he's also really smart as well. And we know that he's going to be competition for Carlton. So, but this is really, like I said, this is really magnified because Carlton comes off as a villain pretty much. As like I said, it's of course more realistic. Rich kid has been privileged all his life, and does some coke here and there. Now that thing was, like I said, it really magnifies a lot of things that were not in the show and originally. I'm pleased that Hillary Banks is not a bubblehead. She seems to have her own thing going on with being a social media person, and she actually can cook. And Ashley is a tree hugger. And like I said, any show that has to do with black wealth, any show that portrays black wealth, I'm already going to be in and watching it. That's why like I said, even though, and I remember too, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was probably one of the first. We had the Huxtables, but the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was probably the first show on television to portray a wealthy black family. You got to understand, like, this show came out in 1990, and we had Cliff and Claire Huxtable, who were wealthy or well-to-do, but the Banks were obviously wealthy. They had a mansion. Vivian was a lawyer. Philip Banks was a judge, and you could tell as soon as the show started that they were rich. That was a element of the show of them being rich. The Cosby Show never really told you that they were rich. They were well-to-do, but The Fresh Prince was the first, to me, being 10 years old, I remember saying, wow, these people are black and rich. That was my first time seeing rich black people on TV who were, who acted rich, I guess, and the kids, and they told you that they were rich. And that's why we have to, that's why, like I said, even to this day, I love seeing shows with black wealth, no matter how messed up the family is. Right now, of course, on the OWN network, we have The Kings of Napa. Right now, I'm really loving that show, even though the family is so messed up. The family is so messed up on that show. But I love seeing black wealth. I love seeing families on TV who portray that sort of element in their lives, and seeing all the different dynamics in the family, what the kids are doing, the father, even shows like Empire, that's black wealth. Of course, it's every different industries and different TV shows, but I really, like I said, Bel-Air really throws a lot of things in your face. Within that first hour, we'll see how things hold up in the rest of the season. But of course, Jazz was in there. The cab driver was named Jazz, and at first you was wondering who he was because he was just the cab driver. But when he said that his name was Jazz, you kind of can tell that Will's gonna. Well, we'll see, but Will will he'll be more of a friend to Will because he can identify with Will more, or Will can identify with him being, not on the social class that everybody else is on. So, like I said, this show, I really enjoyed Bel-Air. It was like a little movie, and I know they want to give you a lot of things in the first episode to set you up. So, like I said, the main thing, of course, that we're going to see is the conflict between Will and Carlton. They're going to really, they're really going to bring that out in the show, because they're fighting over a girl named Lisa. The girl that Will married on the original sitcom. I do know that I think Carl wasn't the original Carlton into her at first. I can't remember, but we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, we kind of know what's going to happen, but we really don't, because things are a lot deeper and darker in this show. Will actually tried to leave and go back to Philly to resolve his issues. I think this version of Will Smith is more stubborn. He's definitely a little more conscious of what he needs to do or what he wants to do, but he has no structure, or he has nobody to kind of help him. So he kind of has to fend for himself. And that's why I think, at least for the Philip Banks character, is a good role model for him, is a good guy to help him along the way. And like I said, Philip Banks, the OG Philip Banks by James Avery, was a good role model for Will as well. But I think Adrian Holmes really shows a good strength of a black father. And when they threw in that line saying, when Will threw in that line saying to Philip, "You're not my father," I was like, oh man, it's going to be a long process. And I remember he said that to him in the original. They threw a lot of lines into this episode from the original sitcom, which was obvious, a lot of Easter eggs. And by Will saying to Uncle Phil, "You're not my father," I was like, wow, what a strong callback. But we know eventually, at some point, it's going to be a long season. I can say this right now. It's going to be a long season with this show. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. Like I said, I've never been into getting Peacock. There's right now there's too many platforms out there. And, you got to choose wisely. You got to pick your poison. But this may be the show. And like I said, there's a lot of good stuff on Peacock. Don't get me wrong. A lot of good shows out there. But if you want to get vested in Peacock, then this will be the show to watch, to get the access to the new Bel-Air show. Will Smith, whatever Will Smith puts his hands to, people have their issues with Bel-Air, of course, because of it's a reboot. But you have to understand that Will Smith also has his hand in Cobra Kai, which is a amazing show. So as executive producer, and this is actually his company who's over it. Will Smith is going to have quality on his show. I mean, it just is what it is. Westbrook Entertainment, they want to have quality in their shows, and so I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come about with Bel-Air. Like I said, I grew up with Fresh Prince. Literally, the show came out when I was 10 years old, and I watched it all the way through. It's a good setup. It's a good format to be rebooted from. It's time, to get a nice reboot from it without it being a carbon copy. We can definitely pull from some of the things that were humorous and make them into a serious issue. Carlton did accidentally take some of Will's drugs, but in this show, he's actually taking drugs himself. I mean, it's going to be something else. It's going to be interesting. So with that being said, that's all we have today, my friends. And I'd love to like I said, I love to commentate on these shows and these movies with you. Make sure you subscribe once again, like, share our content. We're going to have some good things coming up on the Movie Wire pretty soon. I'm excited about it. We're working on a few things in development. We're working on some just some things where you can win some discounts on some interesting stuff, on some products, some trips. So I'm really excited about, expanding our platforms and, giving back to our viewers who've been listening to us. And like I said, I love doing this. I love sharing my commentary on movies and TV shows. And we're going to continue to do this again real soon. With that being said, this is JT once again with the Movie Wire. And I'll catch y'all later. Have a good day. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Movie Wire.
Subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our next episode.